everyone, and welcome to this explainer on the principles for reconciliation. As we get ready for your group discussion today, we are going to be focusing entirely on Principle 1, which is hope. You know, the journey of reconciling faith with the experience of same-sex attraction can feel, well, let's be honest, it can feel incredibly overwhelming. But that's exactly why we have to start with this powerful anchor. Hope is literally the bedrock that all the other steps forward are built on. Without it, the path just seems impassable. So establishing hope right out of the gate is absolutely critical for everything that follows. Listen to this vulnerable realization from the text. I'm gay. Would I ever be able to find happiness? Just let that heavy question sink in for a second. For so many people, acknowledging same-sex attraction is a moment that hits with intense confusion, fear, and even distress. After years, or maybe even decades, of running from these feelings or just hiding them away because of the fear of judgment, the reality finally sets in. And we absolutely have to acknowledge and validate the sheer emotional weight of that realization. It is an incredibly vulnerable place to be, and questioning your future happiness is a profound and totally valid part of that experience. It's kind of like standing at the base of a steep, winding trail that stretches endlessly into the mountains, shrouded in mist. The future just seems so daunting. The manual validates these intense feelings of discomfort. It actually recognizes that initial, almost instinctual desire to just run, hide, or try to pretend this new reality doesn't exist. When the road ahead looks that long, that steep, and entirely unfamiliar, feeling afraid is just a completely natural human response. You might look up at that ascent and wonder, how am I ever going to find the stamina to navigate this terrain? And as that reality starts to solidify, a flood of specific questions and concerns usually rush in, feeding our fears about the future. The source text lists these exact questions that threaten deeply held hopes for marriage, family, and lifelong activity in the church. Questions like, did something I do make me this way? How can I be gay in the church? Will my family hate me if I tell them? Or will I be excommunicated? These are incredibly heavy, deeply personal fears, and they can easily cloud our vision. They bring the terrifying prospect of conditional love or potential rejection right to the forefront, making the path forward seem completely unnavigable. It really does feel like stepping into the pitch black without a flashlight. Which brings us right into our next phase, the illusion of hopelessness. The manual points out something absolutely crucial here. When we're flooded with questions we can't immediately answer, we become vulnerable. And that's exactly when the adversary tries to corner us into believing our situation is completely bleak. He whispers a very specific, incredibly damaging lie: you have no options. So many people share experiences of feeling completely stuck at this juncture. They talk about how the adversary tries to convince them of this false choice, that they either have to leave the church entirely to find happiness in the world, risking estrangement from family and friends, or, on the flip side, they are doomed to a lonely, miserable life inside the church. It's a cruel dichotomy designed specifically to make you feel totally trapped. So, the real game changer is recognizing these feelings of absolute hopelessness for what they are: illusions. As the manual firmly and unapologetically states, Satan is a liar. Period. Yielding to despair is never your only option, no matter how convincing those whispered lies might feel in your darkest moments. There is always hope. There is always a profound opportunity for real joy and happiness. Breaking free from the paralyzing idea that you're trapped is the absolute first necessary step toward genuine reconciliation. Now, let's explore this through the story of Peter and the storm. To really understand how to navigate these stormy emotions, we can look at the Apostle Peter's journey on the Sea of Galilee. This isn't just some ancient, dusty story. It's a living parallel to our own journey of reconciliation. Think about it. First, Peter actually stepped out of the boat and experienced a miracle. He walked on water toward the Savior. But then, what happened? His focus shifted. He looked away from Christ and started staring at the stormy wind and the crashing waves. Third, because his focus shifted to the terrifying storm, fear completely overtook his faith, and he started to sink into the dark water. And finally, rather than just surrendering to a terrifying situation, he cried out in desperation to be saved. The contrast here is just so stark. The realization of same-sex attraction, the uncertain future, the heavy fears of rejection, these can feel exactly like those boisterous, stormy waves threatening to pull us under. When we focus purely on the uncertainties, the obstacles, and all the terrifying what-ifs, well, doubt and sinking inevitably follow. Our faith gets totally eclipsed by our panic. But when we fix our eyes firmly on Jesus, his grace steadies us. Focusing on the Savior equals walking on water. It allows us to remain buoyant and keep moving forward, even when the storm of our circumstances is raging all around us. And honestly, here is the most beautiful, comforting part of the whole metaphor. Just as Jesus immediately reached out to rescue Peter from the depths, the text assures us that he will never, ever abandon us. He will immediately extend his hand when we call out feeling totally overwhelmed. Let's be real, we are going to slip. We might even sink deep into the water sometimes when the pressure is just too much. But hope is never lost, because the Savior's strong, steady hand is literally right there, ready to pull us back to safety and calm the tempest in our hearts. All right, moving on to redefining true hope. This brings us to a massive shift in perspective. We are moving from the emotional turmoil of the storm into a clear, doctrinal understanding of what hope actually is. Because in a gospel context, hope is way more than just wishful thinking. It's not some blind wish for something that could theoretically happen if we just get lucky. No, it is a firm, unwavering trust in what will happen. It's trusting that God our Father profoundly loves us and that he keeps his word. It's choosing to rely on his eternal love and his sure promises every single day, even when we can't possibly see the end from the beginning. The manual brings in this great quote from the Book of Mormon, reminding us that whosoever shall put their trust in him shall be supported in their trials and their troubles and their afflictions and shall be lifted up at the last day. We absolutely cannot know everything the future holds, and sure, the map forward might still look pretty blank in places, but relying on the Savior's matchless power and grace ensures that he will bring joy and open up unimaginable opportunities for us. His grace is completely sufficient for our journey. Okay, let's look at preparing for discussion. The manual offers these 4 incredible practical steps to actively apply this doctrine right now. First, think about sharing how your unique challenges have actually blessed you. Just changing the narrative of your trial can be so empowering. Second, purposefully remember and reflect on past spiritual witnesses you've received. Remembering is deeply tied to hoping for future miracles. Third, step outside your own circumstances and reach out to support someone else who's struggling with a totally different trial. Validating their pain can actually strengthen your own perspective. And finally, ask an admired mentor how they manage to nurture and maintain their own hope when things get tough. And that brings us to the end of our explainer. I want to leave you with this final vital question to carry directly into your live discussion. When the waves are crashing and the future seems completely obscured by this storm, where do you look? How has Jesus Christ and his gospel given you hope? Hold on to that thought. I'll now turn the time over to your facilitator to kick off the group discussion. Have a great session.